What are you nervous about?
I don't know. Like, this might be the make or break video. Like, that is how nervous I am about it.
It'll be fun.
I'm sure by now you guys know who I am. I'm Courtney, and if you didn't know me before this, you're gonna know me now. And I hope you don't judge, but that's okay if you do. I wanted to start by saying, if you catch me looking down, it's because I have notes in front of me because I've got so much to tell, but I'll try to keep it short. When Mackenzie first asked me to do this, I was like, I told her I'd have to think about it, I believe is what I told her, and then the more I thought about it, I was like, you know, people know my story, but they don't know my story. I almost said no, just for the fact that she's new starting out with her YouTube channel, and I didn't want my testimony, as terrible as that sounds, to cause conflict on her channel. But the more I thought about it, Jesus really didn't care what they thought about him whenever he was telling them the truth. And if you read your Bible, then you already know that when Stephen was preaching, they stoned him to death because he was preaching the truth. He was preaching God's word. While I'm not really here to preach to you, I do have a lot to say. I will start by saying that God has never failed me, and I do mean never. Put all the emphasis on never. He has never left my side. He has never taken his hand out of mine. It has always been me that walked away or failed or, oh, just kidding, Lord, I'm not ready yet. But he's always been right there. Like, even in the midst of everything that was so bad in my life, he was right there. So, if you guys are ready, we will start this. I'd say to start, we could probably go back to growing up, but not every detail about my life, because some things, while everything matters up to this moment, some things are not a big deal right now. I was raised the Church of God all my life. As far as I can remember, it's just been this church and the same pastor, and we've always been taught right from wrong and how to live our life and what we should say to people, how we should act toward people, how I should dress. Yes, dress. That's a big thing for everybody. Everybody believes something different. The company that we keep, like who we hang out with and who we talk to, the conversations we have, because everything is recorded in heaven. Like all of this is kept up with. In my lifetime, I've probably been saved like a million times. Okay, not a million, but 742. Okay, that's probably an exaggeration too. A lot of times, but I was always one to get saved and backslide and get saved and backslide. I would go to church and be condemned of my sins and feel like I needed to get things under the blood, and I would do so, and let's say that would be on a Sunday. By Tuesday or Wednesday, Courtney was right back doing whatever she wanted to do. But even as a kid, I guess you could say I knew what was right and what was wrong. I've always been taught that. My parents taught me that. My granny taught me that. She's our pastor, in case anybody didn't know that. As a young person, trying to fit in the world or find out where you belong or what you should be doing in the world, the devil has a strong pull on, he influences, and not him per se, oh, look over there, that's the devil, and he's influencing me to drink this beer. No, that is, my buddy's over there drinking a beer, and I don't want to stand out, so I need to go and drink one with him. That is hard. Not that the pull isn't strong now, because Lord knows it is way stronger with everything that's going on in the world, but being so young and impressionable, or young and dumb, so to speak, when I was about probably 15, maybe 16, I started really getting out and doing things. Now, before that, I was good. I was a good kid. Now, I say I was a good kid. My parents never really had to watch what I did. But if I wanted to go do something, I would tell them I was going this place, and when in turn I was really going somewhere else. But now they can know that. They didn't have to know it all back then. Not doing things that I wasn't really supposed to do, like drinking underage or doing drugs or whatever, but just being places that I said I was going to be and going in the opposite place, or being with people that I probably wasn't supposed to hang out with, or my parents was like, you're not going to do that, or you're not going to be with them. Courtney had a I'll show you spirit, and I showed them. Probably when I was 17 or 18, I met this girl, or woman. She was well older than me. We had met a couple years before, but that doesn't have anything to do with this. She had 2 kids, and she was bisexual. In my life, did I think at any point that I would be the person that would find myself in a relationship with a girl? I was raised different than that. I knew better than that. It had only ever been with guys, but like I said, the devil, he has his ways. So, I'm sorry, I lost my place. I'm trying to keep notes. My parents knew. Me and this girl got really close with each other. We were like best friends, probably, you could say. But my parents kind of knew, I guess. They never said anything to me personally, but they always would send somebody with me whenever we went off together or whatever. So they knew. They saw through the friendship. Sort of. I mean, I'm their kid, they should, right? I think I would see through it if it was my kid. Anyway, it rocked on. She and I, got into a relationship secretly, or what we thought was secretly was not. It was wide open, and we just thought it was completely secret. But about a year, maybe 2, kind of off and on, and that was just done and over with. So I went back out, and I was doing my own thing. I was, whatever I wanted to do, just being Courtney again. I went back to dating boys like it had never happened in my life. And I don't mean that in a rude way. I just mean that in a I went on back to normal kind of way. So fast forward to 21, I started going out because that's what people do when they turn 21. I was going to the bars. That was my favorite thing to do on the weekend. Friday night, even Thursday nights, some Saturday nights. If there was a party going on and I knew about it and it was close enough for me to go to, that's where I was. You would always find me there. So I guess it was fun, or what I thought was fun. Not good, but fun. I was staying out all night. I would stay out all night, and most of those nights I would be out drinking all night. I could have been killed a couple of times, but we won't go into those stories. Fast forward to, sorry, that's my child getting in trouble. Fast forward to about 22 or 23, I found out I was pregnant with Kennedy. My parents did not like it, mainly for the fact that the way we were raised is you don't do that kind of thing, not being married. You don't have sexual relationships with other people when you're not married. Like, you should wait for your husband, and the husband should wait for his wife, and so that was a big issue. I'm going to skip around a lot because this is really, really long. So we'll fast forward to 2016, and Jackson was born. I'd been in and out of relationships and in and out of church and just living the right way for a while, and then letting go and doing the church thing for a while and doing what I wanted to do. In 2017, Jackson was probably 10 months old at the time, 9 months old at the time. I met this girl on Xbox. Crazy, right? I know. I had been with guys, and I obviously had been with girls. I was actually dating a girl at the time. Her name was Jessica. Whenever I met this person online, that makes me sound like a terrible person, but anyway, she and I broke up. The Xbox girl, she was just perfect, so I thought. We started talking, basically everything you would look for in a perfect relationship, that's what it was. Like, she was everything. We started talking April of 17, and things moved rather quickly. By May, she had already came down to Florida from Wisconsin. That's a long way, mind you. It's 20 hours with kids, and it's an awful drive. So she came down in May, and she had a visit. Nobody had ever gone those lengths for me before, I guess. Nobody had ever told me the things that she told me. So by June, that was in May, and then in June the 10th, 2017, I had moved to Wisconsin already. So April, May, June, 3 months, I was already up and gone and moved to Wisconsin. I packed my babies up, and we moved with this person that I barely knew, literally barely knew. That was God having his hand on me the entire time. So believe me when I say God has never left me at all. Fast forward to 2018, we were engaged, and like I said, never in my life did I think that I would ever be with a girl, much less engaged to one. I thought my whole life when thinking about being married, it was being married to this man and having kids and having my own house and having my own car and making my own rules for my children, and taking my kids to church was still in there somewhere. It's obvious that the devil had other plans for me. So if you're still listening, I hope you still like me after this. July 20th, 2018, we got married. I remember going to the courthouse and, sorry. I remember walking in the door, and my thoughts and my soul really was just heavy. I knew in my heart that I should not be there, but anybody that knows me knows I'm kind of a coward. Was kind of a coward. I've gotten better. I knew going into that courthouse that everything I was about to do was wrong, and yes, I said wrong. And I can show you where it is wrong in the Bible. We waited our turn. It was me and Randy and my kids and her parents. And the judge comes in. She was really nice. When she realized that she would be marrying 2 women, she kind of took a step back. It kind of startled her, I guess. Excuse me. I could see the look on her face, and she was like in shock. Like I was probably the first woman that she had ever married to another woman. It's like she really couldn't believe that she was going to have to be the one to do this ceremony. So we went through the steps. I'm sorry, I'm having to read my notes because, like I said, it is so long. We went through the steps, we said all the words, and if you've been married before, you know that there comes a time in your wedding vows when the judge or the person marrying you says, in the presence of God and these witnesses. Well, guess what? She left out God. She didn't say, in the presence of God and these witnesses. She just said, in the presence of these witnesses. And that stood out to me the entire time. I never said anything to anybody. I just let it go because Randy was not raised the way that I was raised. She went to a Christian school when she was younger, but nothing like being in church your entire life and knowing right from wrong. Wow. Then we were married. Surprise. We went home and celebrated like a little party, so to speak, in September of the same year. We were just going through the motions of life. I got a job, she was working, we were both working, our kids were in school. We moved to a house that better fit our family. We moved on with our life. I moved on with my life, a married woman. I was proud to be married, as everybody should be if you're married, right, married in the right way. It's something I always wanted, to have kids and be married and have a house of my own. Like I said that, it's something that I always remember. Well, we had moved into this new house, and I would go to bed at night and I would start having these anxiety attacks. And they were mostly about, I let my mind just wander so far, probably things that would never really happen to my kids. But I would think, okay, if we're on the boat and my kid falls off the boat, and how am I going to save my kid? Like, I would literally work myself up to a pure panic attack, like it was torture on my own self. And I didn't think anything of it. I went to the doctor. They gave me medicine. I took the medicine. I wasn't happy with the medicine. I stopped taking it. I got on something different. I wasn't happy with that. I stopped it. Let's jump a little further to 2020. We were looking to buy a house. We looked and stressed and looked and stressed and stressed and stressed and looked some more. In the middle of all the stress of buying a house and finding a house, I was fighting my own little battle inside my own self. And that battle was, I knew I was not living like I should. I had been talking to friends back home. Mackenzie had gotten saved at the time, and her mom, Susie, had gotten saved. I didn't even tell Randy, so she was oblivious when it all came out, basically. And so then I went to having these really vivid dreams. Like, I had one dream in particular. I was sitting in my living room, and that we had a big window, and my mom was there, and we were sitting there, and the light, it was like the moon was outside my window, and it came in so close to my house that you could not see anything outside. There was no trees, there was no cars, there was no people. It was just the moon right in my window. And in my heart, I knew that that was the Lord coming back, and I was not ready. And I had a wedding ring on, and the light shined so brightly on my wedding ring, I was like, oh my God, I got to take this off. I need to get right now. But let me remind you, at that point in life, it is far too late. Like, you don't have a chance. Everything you've done is what you've done. That's how you've lived your life. That's how you're going to be judged. That's how you're going to be, according to what you've done. So in my dream, I fall down on the floor, and I put my ring on the mantle. We didn't even have a mantle, not in real life, but it was there in my dream. And I threw my ring up there, and I was praying, and my mom was looking at me, and she was like oblivious to what was going on outside. Like, she didn't see the light. It was so bright. Like, literally the moon was sitting in my living room. So I wake myself up from that dream, and my heart is racing so hard. I mean, it is just pounding. And all I can think was, if that really had happened right now, myself, I would not be able to be with my kids forever. They're still little, and there comes a point in their life when they have their own age of accountability. I don't know what that is. I guess for each kid it's different. But they would be in heaven, and I would not be in heaven. I would be in hell because, one, I was drinking all the time. I was doing drugs, yes, with my kids in the house. I did it. I'm not ashamed. I mean, I'm ashamed to say that I did it, but I did it. I was married to a woman, and I should not have been. Just every day-to-day life was not the right life. Mackenzie's mom, Susie, she and I did not talk hardly at all, and not because of anything that was going on with us. We just didn't talk. Me and Mackenzie are best friends, but me and her mom, she's my aunt, or she was then. I consider her one of my very best friends. I was going to say close, but it's more of a best. So just out of the blue one day, she messages me, and she says, Courtney. And I was like, oh gosh, what have I done? And so I said, yeah. Hours later, she messaged me back, and she said, I've been going to church, and I got saved. I'm working my hardest to get my life right with God. I've really had you on my mind. I have not told anybody at this point that I was having dreams at all, not even Mackenzie. And she said, if the relationship, or she said, I'm going to lay it out there for you. If the relationship you're in was easing you to God, things would be smoother for you. Mind you, she had no idea what I was dealing with. She didn't know the struggles I was facing every day. She didn't know the dreams I was having. She didn't know the ups and downs, the anxiety. She didn't know any of that. This was just completely out of the blue. Like, this was God. If God was to ever come down and speak to me, it was Susie Blair right here in this message. She said, there would be less contention and your life wouldn't seem so unsettled. Boy, was she right. I say this because I'm in a marriage that's wrong too. I'm going to stop that there because I don't want to tell you any of her story. She said, let me tell you something that happened to me. Tanner was here one day and we were fussing and he mouthed off about me never taking him to church. So I told him, and I remember, she brought him to church every service and he didn't remember because at one point we all backed away. She stopped going. So our conversation goes on and on and on. And so my response was, how am I supposed to just walk away from this? Like, I've made a whole life here. And I did. I made friends. I had a job. I had a house. I had a car. I was married. My kids were in school. That's a life. That is what everybody has. It is a life. She said, but you have a responsibility to those babies that exceed everything else in your life. And she was right. That responsibility is teaching my kids about God. Teaching my kids that even in the lowest part of your life, you can ask for forgiveness. You can ask for help. You can ask anything, literally. And God might not answer it right away, but He is going to get it. He is going to answer it for you. So we talked about it, and I kind of wrote it off. That was in June. So fast forward to July, we signed on our house. We moved in. Everything was good. We moved into the house. We started having problems with our house, as if anything else could not get any worse. We were having problems with the hot water heater. The washer and dryer went out. The sewage overflowed in my basement and filled up my whole basement. Gross, I know. So my brother Ethan was in town. And he come and stayed with us. They helped us move into our house. And we were sitting at the kitchen table. Will you see what he's doing in the bathroom? We were sitting at my kitchen table, and I don't want to sound like I'm bashing or talking badly about, but everybody that knows Ethan knows he has his own opinion of everything. And unless you can show him hard facts about what you're talking about, that's just how he is. And that's okay. Most people are like that. We were talking about church and about how he didn't understand how when my grandpa died that, not the fact that he died, but the fact of how he died, how it was so hard on him and us to see. He didn't think that was fair, and how could God take a man out of this world that never did any wrong to anybody, always did everything for everybody, and take him out of here in such a hard way? Well, I defended God. I defended Jesus. I defended the church. I was not living right by no means. But even in all of that, I never hesitated to defend the church or the Lord or whatever. Like, I used to tell my sister all the time, Megan, I would say, I might not live the Bible, but I know it, and I will tell you about it. And she will tell you that I will tell you about it. So we had that conversation, and we went to bed that night. It was probably a 2.5-hour conversation at my kitchen table. Everything he said to me, I had either a biblical comeback, something that the Lord just put in my mind. Like, I don't know how that worked out, but it did. And so the conversation ended when we went to bed that night. Randy looked at me and she said, I'm so proud of the way that you stood up to Ethan. Not that I stood up to my brother, by no means, because he's younger than me, and who stands up to their little brother? Nobody. But for the fact that I stood up for what I believed. I stood up for what I was taught and how I was raised. And Ethan was raised the same way, a little different, because my parents had already left the church by the time he was growing up. So he knew, but he was making his own way in the world, and that's what people have to do. In September no, before September, so probably the end of August, Randy was working afternoon shift. Well, Susie had told me some things back and forth. She would text me every day, or not every day, but every little bit, and she'd give me updates about how things were going in her life. And I knew that was still God, because I still had not told Susie anything about these dreams. But I'm glad that she felt like she needed to maybe not keep me updated, but let me know that she is moving forward, and I should probably start walking in that direction. So, she was sending me messages, and one day I was sitting on the bed and Randy was playing the game, and I was telling her, I said, well, Susie's doing this today, like she's moving forward, and I'm just still sitting here on this bed watching you play the game. And so she stopped and she got so serious, and she looked at me and she said, "You're gonna leave me one day, ain't you?" And I said, "Why do you say that?" And she said, "Because I just know you are." And I said, "Don't say that." I mean, I knew I had to, but that was not where I was. I was not ready for that. She was my best friend. We did everything together, literally everything. If I was washing dishes, she was beside me washing dishes. If I was doing laundry, she was beside me doing laundry. Mind you, I did not do laundry a lot. But we were like connected at the hip, like any spouse should be with their other spouse. And that is just how the devil done me. He gave me everything I wanted, but not in the right way. So that kind of rocked on, and a couple days later, I got another message from Susie, and she was telling me something else that she had planned and how she was going to do it, and I told Randy about it, because we tell each other everything, told each other everything. And she said the same thing to me. She stopped what she was doing, and she looked me dead in my face, and she said, "You're going to leave me one day, ain't you?" And I said, "If I'm going to heaven," it just came out of my mouth. I said, "If I'm going to heaven, I'm leaving you one day. I don't know what day that'll be. I don't know how long that'll be. But if I plan on making it to heaven, and I do plan on making it, I'm going to have to leave you one day." Little did I know, it would be the very next day.